friends, it's Christy. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be making a card using Lawn Fawn's Smooth Sailing and On the Beach. So I've started by stamping out my images with Memento Tuxedo Black ink on some Copic friendly cardstock, and I'll be coloring with my Copic markers today. So I'm starting with my larger sailboat, and the colors I'm going to use for the hull are B34, B37, and B39. I'm going to have my light source in the center of the card, so my highlight will fall in the center. So I am pulling with the B37 from either end and then filling in with the B34. Now I didn't get a great blend on my first go around, so I'm going to do a double layer. That's something I often like to do just to help smooth out, those transitions between the shades. So I added a little more B39 on the edges, and then I'm just going to go over each of those colors, and you'll see that the results is a much nicer transition across the board, and I still end up with those darker colors on the outside edge and the nice highlight in the center. The next combination I'm using is BG45 and BG49, and I'm going to do that little stripe on the top edge of the hole. So once again, using the BG49 on the outside edge and filling in with the BG45. And then just like I did on the bottom, I'm going to do a double layer just so that the depth of contrast really matches with the bottom. Except this time I'm not going to pull the BG45 over quite as far, so it almost looks like I've got 3 shades there. And then I'm going to color the little flag at the top of the mast to match. While I have those colors out, I'm also going to do one of the little seashells using the BG45 to go around the curve that's drawn there and then just fill in with the BG45. The next combination I'm using is YG05, YG07, and YG09, and I'm going to use that for the hull of the smaller little sailboat. So I'm using the YG09 on the outside edge and then pulling towards the center with the YG07 and then filling in with the YG05. And then just to keep everything consistent and have that nice depth of color there, I'm going to go over with the double layer again. I'm going to do that often on today's card just because I really like that depth. So then I'm going to switch to B02, B04, and B06, and that will be for the stripe at the top of the hull. So I'm pulling from the outside edge with the B06, and then the B04 is going to be my mid-tone, and the B02 is my highlight shade. I'll go over each of those again, and then I'll color in the flag at the top of the mast with those shades and also the little starfish. So I'm going with a very cool toned card today. I'm actually using some inspiration colors from our latest Lawn Fanatics challenge, which started today. So you can definitely go and check that out and participate if you'd like to. The theme for this round is beautiful beaches. So anything that is beach themed, or you can also use the color inspiration that's included in the photo as well. So I'm moving on to the masts, and for that I'm using E43, E44, and E47. I'm going to do my shading from the top and bottom, and while I'm at it I'm also going to color in the tiny little bear. And then I'll pull up or down towards the center with the E44. And while I'm at it, I'm going to hit my little bear with that as well. Since these images are all super small, I'm just doing all 3 of them at once to save time. And then my highlighted shade is going to be that E43. So I'll do both of those masks and then finish off the little teddy bear with that shade as well. I love that you have some different style options with this set, so you could certainly use those sailboats all on their own for a more classic masculine card, or you can add in the cute critters for some extra fun. I wanted to have a little bit of depth and dimension on that sail, so I'm using the W1 on the bottom edge just to create some shadow there, just pulling upward. since the sun would be hitting on the top of the sail first. I'm also going to do the little bunny and the last seashell with those same shades. So now I'm just pulling up with the W00 and letting that fade off into white. And then last I'm going to grab a black gel pen and just go over the eyes of the critters to make them nice and bright. And then I can trim these images out with the matching dies. For my background, I've got a piece of Bristol Smooth Surface cardstock that I'm going to color in with my Zigs and some water. So my first color is 031 Cobalt Blue, which I first put on an acrylic block because I wanted a softer look. And then I'll do a couple stripes of that as well and just continue blending so I get some different depths and values, and it's also going to create a little bit of a cloudy look. Then I'm using 035 Deep Blue, 031 Persian Blue, 042 Turquoise Blue, and 047 May Green. And then I'm going to go right across those with my brush and some clean clear water once again. And anytime I feel like it's getting too muddied, I'm just going to dip back and clean my brush so that I can go back in and still retain some of those deeper colors. I'm going to go over each of these sections with another layer and just increase that depth. As you know by now from listening to me, I do like a lot of contrast, and so I'm just doing that straight onto the wet paper. That's the great thing about these markers, is you do not have to wait for your paper to dry before you can go back over things. And then I'm just going to brush over that with my brush and continue building up that color until I have a look that I'm happy with. So all in all, I went over each of these colors 3 times, and like I said, I continued working on the wet paper. I did not wait for it to dry in between layers. And then I just straightened out my horizon line, and then I'm going to set this panel aside to dry completely. Once it did, I trimmed it down with one of the Stitch Rectangle Stackables, and then I took a couple of the Ocean Wave Accents by Lawn Fawn and cut in some different waves just to give it some texture and also have a place to put in my sailboats. And while I was die cutting, I also trimmed down a piece of cardstock with one of the Stitched Hillside Borders. I believe this color is called Vanilla Malt. And then I'm stamping Seize the Day from the On the Beach stamp set with Lawn Fawn Blue Jay ink. And then I'm also going to pop in my card base, which is that same cardstock color. And I'm going to stamp the small sailboat and the sentiment that says, "Today is all about you." And I did stamp that down twice to make sure I got a really good impression. So now I can begin to set my scene, and I'm going to start by gluing down that little strip of sand to the bottom of the panel. So I'm just lining that up with the bottom edge, making sure that it's nice and straight, and then pressing that down firmly. Then I'm going to take the 2 sailboats, and I am using the Lawn Fawn glue tube. I like it because it has that really fine nozzle. And I'm going to glue both of the sailboats inside the 2 larger of the die cut waves. And then that 3rd smaller die cut wave will just be an accent. At first I started out with the sailboats going straight up and down, but I decided it might be more fun to give them a little bit of a tilt. So while that glue is still wet, I'm just going to tip them a little bit to add another look to the card. It's going to make it look like the seas are a little bit rockier. And then I'm going to add my little critters, and I'm adding them to the end where it's kind of dipping down into the ocean. So hopefully our little guys aren't getting too seasick. And then all that's left is to add my 3 little seashells. So I just decided where I was going to have them placed first, and then I'll pick them up, add a dab of glue underneath them, and set them back down into place. I find that's the easiest way to adhere tiny little images like these. Then I'll take this panel and pop it into my MISTI so I can stamp 2 little seagulls into the sky. And I'm just going to make sure that I do this really carefully so that I don't get any ink anywhere on the rest of my scene. I wanted to cover my card base with a piece of pattern paper, so I'm flipping through my Really Rainbow Scallops pattern paper pack and just seeing which color looks the best with the focal panel that I've got. So I decided on doing this blue scallop, and I'm going to turn it upside down so that the shape of the scallops mimics the shape of the waves on the card. I trimmed that out with the largest of the Lawn Fawn outside in stitch rectangle stackables, and that's going to leave a little bit of a border so you get that light colored cardstock showing through that also matches the sails on the sailboats. So I just adhered that down into place, made sure to line it up nice and straight, and then pressed it down firmly. And then I've added some foam tape to the back of my focal panel. This is the Scotch 3M foam tape. So I'll just peel off the release papers, line that up in the center, and give that a firm press. And that is going to complete my card for today. There's another peek at the inside. And since it's a masculine card, I decided not to add any additional embellishment, but I think it turned out super cute. These images are just darling. If you enjoyed today's video, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up, and you can also subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I would love to have your support. I'm getting super close to 20,000 subscribers, so any extra would help out a lot. Here's 2 extra videos in case you'd like to continue watching, and I hope you all have an absolutely amazing day. Bye-bye.